Hey you guys, it has been a day of it already. It is still Wednesday, April 17th. The days never end. So I successfully went around, just as an update, and successfully squirreled away all of my gladiolas and lucifer and most of my freesia. And I think I'm going to plant the rest of my freesia in some pots so I can make them little dense areas where I'm going to create little vignettes of pots for hummingbirds and for butterflies and pollinators in general. But today I brought you in to show you my lovely gardener's manicure once again. My hands are so dry, you guys. Are your hands like Velcro? Because my fingers are so rough. Right now I'm planting some marigolds, and that's not just from those packs. I have so many marigolds that I stashed away on my own. And look at this. Here's something I like to do, is I will take the whole entire flower in the fall and I will stash it into an envelope with a description. Now in a moment I'm going to show you, oh my goodness, all of the wonderful seeds in this large tall orange. These are usually African varieties, which I absolutely love. And these are great when you plant them in with your tomatoes because the bloom grows really tall. I mean, so many people have come into the yard and said, Leigh, I've never seen marigolds so tall. Some of these marigolds go 6 feet tall. So I have a pocket full of so many colors and varieties, and I don't really know what they are, but I tried to give as much of a description. Like right here, I have one that says rust with an orange center, and I think that this is probably a Mr. Majestic. So now this year what I'm going to do is a better job when I harvest them later on of Googling a description of them, because a majority of these came from a packet that I had from Ferry and Morse years ago, where it was a mixed French double dwarf packet, so you don't really know what you're getting. And some of the most beautiful marigolds, I'm telling you, I have literally pockets full of marigolds here where I tried to write a detailed description, but you know what, you never know what you're going to get. And I'm looking at these descriptions and I'm like, could I have made better sense when I wrote it out? Okay, they're all orange with a rust center, all of them. So I have no idea what I did, but all I know is that marigolds are so beneficial. And you have to plant them. You have to. I mean, there's things that you just don't really understand how beneficial it is until you do it every year. The marigolds attract so many bees, and they attract them late in the year. So I'll come out here October and even into November. And between the calendula and the marigolds, there are still bees hanging on, eating from them. The hummingbirds swarm to our garden every year, and our garden is packed dense with marigolds, all mixed into the tomatoes. They're in the berry barn, and they're everywhere. So there's just so many insects and birds that love them. So we'll sit back in the garden in the evening in the middle of summer and we watch the hummingbirds hanging around, and they're always around the marigolds and the calendula. Now, some of the calendula I've gone over in other videos, which you might remember, but I want to tell you right off the bat, zeolites is how I think you say it, is one of the most fragrant pot marigolds or calendula that I've ever smelled. Now, they say that with calendula you can make calendula oil, which is beneficial for your skin. It's very, very fragrant. It's rabbit and deer resistant, and it really does deter animals because it's so pungent. So I already planted a few 6-packs of these particular varieties to keep. Plan on planting them out front where the neighbors just continue to allow their dogs to come and damage the beautiful garden that we are putting in the former grassy strip, which I now refer to as the grassy less strip. I have another not so pretty name for it, but it's just really offensive that, you know, between, you can't stop the animals from coming and the insects that come and do damage to your yard. But you would think that people would have some common courtesy. So now I'm just going to plant things that won't hurt anybody, but it will deter because it's so fragrant. The marigolds in particular, I will say, as far as a deterrent, work wonderfully in the garden to deter leaf-footed bugs. After we started planting marigolds dense into the tomato beds, we stopped seeing them, and the leaf-footed bugs will destroy your tomatoes. Now I just have to find something that works good enough to keep the stink bugs out, which came last year, and they're doing the same thing as the leaf-footed. They probe in, they make a hole, and then your fruit starts to rot, and it's just terrible. So a few packets that I have that are really, really beautiful, and I can tell you are worth growing just for their appearance, is Mr. Majestic. Grows easy. It's very, very, very colorful. It has a lovely fragrance. I'm rooting through my pocket to see what other surprises I have in here because I literally don't know. I have officially become a seed addict, a seed hoarder. I dream about seeds. John caught me going through seeds again, and he's like, "Are you buying something?" And I'm like, "No, it was on sale, and I'm just looking." And I did good. I walked away. But I need more. So, Queen Sophia. This has to be one of the most vibrant marigolds that you can grow. It catches every bit of sunlight in the summertime, and as the sun is setting, this thing will sit and glow. They're big, beautiful flowers. The bees absolutely love them. And you have to remember, where you attract bees, you grow more food because they pollinate everything that you're growing. Without the bees, we have no gardens, you guys. We have to feed them. The hummingbirds love them as well. This little one I grew last year, and this probably is the most fragrant little marigold I have ever smelled. It truly has hints of orange and lemon smell to it, very citrusy. It's a very, very tiny flower though, and I did manage to harvest a few seeds because I wanted to isolate the yellow from the orange, and they were very, very, very tiny. So I think that this year I'm going to grow them again. I'm going to isolate them further so I can try to get more seeds because I'm on a mission to get seeds for everything. Now this is called Jolly Jester, and I think I already have this guy that I harvested on my own from years of planting. I'm pretty sure it looks slightly different in the pack, but you just never know. Now I thought this Eskimo was pretty little white one. Now these things you can see are great for containers. You can grow marigolds in almost any conditions. They are, they take a while to show up because they need to germinate in the heat, and they really love the sun. So the hotter the better. If you have a sunny spot where you really can't grow much, look around for marigolds because they now come in so many different colors and sizes of blooms, and they're just so beneficial for the garden. So I would highly encourage you. Now I have gone ahead and prepared 3 packets like this that hold 24 cells. So I'm going to be doing 48 started marigolds and a mix of some calendula because I need the calendula. I want to make sure it goes in specific places. Now, in the past several years, I've planted calendula and it will come back forever. Calendula and marigolds, cosmos, zinnias, and snapdragons. Once you plant them, you will have them in your garden for all eternity. So remember to remember that. Remember to remember it. Because, you know, there's some things that keep showing up. Like, we have marigolds in places that we never planted them. The storm sends them away. If you don't deadhead them, they will just scatter and spread very, very enthusiastically through the garden. There are truly volunteers, probably to a detriment. Like, we never planted marigolds in our berry area, but our berry area gets so inundated with marigolds that they swallow the blueberry plants. They become marigold shrubs. 1 seed is all you need. Remember that. 1 seed is all you need, because 1 seed will create a marigold shrub. And if you want to harvest seeds from that, you can make a seed business selling marigold seeds just from 1 plant. I mean, literally. I'm seriously considering starting a little seed company. I don't know where I would carve out the time to do that, but because I'm like literally losing my mind right now with everything. But it's such an idea because I've collected so many seeds from so many varieties now. I have a whole can full. And my friend came over and I gave her some seeds, and the day she brought me the solar eclipse glasses, and I opened up my can of all the seeds that I harvested, and she was really impressed that I took the time to do that. And it's worth it, because there's things I'll never have to buy marigold seeds again unless I want a new variety. So, you know, that's why I went and got these little envelopes. I can post a link to these little envelopes for you that I got from Amazon. It's just enough to keep you, I mean, you don't need massive envelopes. And I'm going to open up a flower for you, like I said, and show you just how many seeds are going to be in one flower. And again, if you don't know what it was that you planted, or you see it somewhere, the best thing to do is take the whole entire flower and just shove the whole flower in an envelope, so you'll remember what it is, if you're not good at writing descriptions like me. Okay, so I'm starting 14 varieties of marigolds and 3 varieties of calendula. So I got to do my math and see how many are going to go in each cell, and I'm going to write little name tags for each one, you know, the little white stick labels, which I also had hundreds and hundreds of, but I've been creating so many new isolated flowers that I've going through. I think I went through like 3,000 little stick labels. Oh, it's starting to rain. Ugh. So I'm out here working and it's pouring rain, and I just remembered that yes, it does in fact leak in here, mostly from this. Let me turn you around, because there's, if you're watching and you have a yardstry greenhouse, does yours do this? See the leaking happening, you guys? Ugh. Right where I'm standing. Well, luckily I have a little, I have it getting caught in my scented petunia bin. I'm going to have to move everything around though, because I try to capture as much water as I can. There's always a distraction. So every time the splatter hits the tray, it's splashing back at me. Unbelievable. So right now I'm going to show you the Queen Sophia seeds. Now these remind me of little porcupine quills. Again, I like to plant these. It doesn't really matter. You can jab them in and leave the little white, you know, straw part sticking up. You can put them in upside down. You can put them in sideways. Every experiment has told me that a marigold just wants to grow, so it doesn't really matter. But I do find it's very easy to just take it and just, you know, sort of hold it and jab it into these little tiny cells. It's really very simple. And again, the reason that I'm starting them indoors is because they take 2 to 4 weeks to germinate indoors in a controlled environment. But with the fluctuating weather in the springtime, it can take weeks for you to start to see these marigolds. And at least this way, I'll know what I started, where I'm going to put it, and I'll know what to expect. And I can succession sow if I want to, but you really don't need to. Like I said, I've been guilty of planting way too many seeds because I'm worried that something's not going to show up. 1 seed is all you need. Now I'll tell you that with these seeds, if you're in a small space like I am right now, my greenhouse is packed. I have more comments about this Costco greenhouse. So many details I could go into. When you're in a crowded, my greenhouse is very crowded. Stuff is constantly going in and out of the house. There's no peace. I needed a bigger greenhouse without a doubt. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to get at is if you're doing something like this in a small space and you have little seedling containers all over the place, and you're trying to start more seeds around pots of stuff that you already planted, you have to be super careful, because these seeds want to pop off. And if you start one thing, like right now, I just had one of the Queen Sophias pop off, and thank goodness I found it in the pea gravel here on the floor. Went right near my delphiniums. And the last thing I want is for a rogue marigold seed to get into something that, you know, takes a lot of work to get germinated. Because like I said, the one seed will take over and it'll swallow something like that. So again, the seeds tend to, you know, the bigger the flower, the bigger the seed. Just be careful when you're doing this in your greenhouse, because like I said, you just don't want seeds populating each other if you're taking all this time to make, you know, specific planting areas. Do you hear the rain hitting? It's getting really loud. So again, just to avoid any confusion, after I've planted something, even though I see that I'm putting name tags down, I'm folding up the little thing, closing it up, and I'm putting it in my little apron pocket. Maybe you have something else that you put it in, a little container or whatever, but if you just put it away as soon as you sow it, you'll know for certain that you did. You won't get confused, and go ahead and pick it up again. Now, I've done this, and I catch myself, and I swear I'm always going to be on my best behavior. But all marigold seeds look alike. Like I said, some are just smaller and some are just a little bit bigger. You can't tell from the color, and you'll see when I open up one of the flowers for you and start removing seed, you'll see that it's amazing how many seeds are inside of one flower head. Something else I want to make note of is, as you put these seeds down, don't over bury your marigold seeds. They don't need to. When they broadcast, they're always at the surface. It really doesn't take much for them to grab on and get started. With any seed, if you bury them too deep, sometimes they need light to germinate. And, you know, follow your instructions. These will tell you, some of the packs will tell you whether or not they need light to germinate or not. So a good opportunity when you're planting these to know that you're not putting them down too deep is, again, treat them like, you know, this little fluffy part here is like your spear almost, and just push it down far enough that you just can't see that little straw part anymore, and you'll know that you've gone deep enough. Like I said, you can go sideways, upside down, it doesn't really matter. But you can bury it too deep. If it doesn't see the light of day, it's not going to germinate. So remember that your seeds need light. Now, I wish I could show you this, but I don't think it'll come up on camera. This lemon and tangerine gems, I'm noticing the variety in here. One seed is darker than the other, which I've never really noticed before. But I'll bet you that the lighter seed, I don't think you can see it in here. I'll bet you the lighter one is the lemon and the darker one is the tangerine. I'm going to try to make a note, and you can check me here. I'm planting a row of lemon tangerine mix, and then I'm isolating lemon from tangerine in different cells. So later on, if I can't remember, you can tell me, or I'll just have it for my own video reference, that the first two will be lemon and the second two will be tangerine. Okay, so in my mind, I remember what this flower was. It's a beautiful rusty color flower. I'm gonna see if I can turn you around a little bit better as I take this apart. I have you turned around now. Hopefully you'll be able to see. Okay, you see that I showed you all of those little seeds already. Now I'm just taking this and I'm splitting it apart, and you see there's the seeds in there. They're inside of, here they come. It's that simple, you guys, you see, to harvest the seeds from a marigold. Wow, look at all that. So one little head. Imagine, you get less seeds than this in one pack, okay? So if you try to, hey, if you want a side hustle, you have the time. This is a lucrative business, because one tiny little marigold head will give you like 5 packs of seeds at $3 a piece. Imagine, you do the math when you start germinating these bad boys and you see how much money you can make. You know what? I think I'm going to start a seed business. So I just popped open the large African orange, which is very, very tall. And the fragrance that just came from this dried flower was incredible. Now, very much like a zinnia, you can see the tip of where its flower petals were is still attached to the seed. So, you know, this gives you an idea of, you know, these flowers and how they can broadcast. Like I said, zinnias, cosmos, marigolds, you really, you know, they're very, very easy to harvest. Oh, it's already 2:15 in the afternoon. The boys are screaming inside. I can hear them. They want to be taken care of. They can literally make their noises travel through the house, across the yard, over rain, and into the greenhouse. It's incredible. But I'm going to keep on doing this because I'm just about done. I want to make sure that I have all of these wonderful marigolds isolated. Now listen, a lot of people tell me they just don't like marigolds, and I'm trying to figure out why. Is it because you think of a marigold and you think of the little tiny pom-pom yellow and orange and they really just don't do anything for you? Keep in mind, there are so many varieties of marigolds, and I'm here to tell you as a marigold grower the importance of them for the ecosystem, to attract and feed the bees, to attract and feed the hummingbirds. And when all of those things are present, you are going to have a better garden, because this is food for your workers. And if you don't feed your workers, they're going to go eat someplace else, and they're going to work harder for somebody else, and your garden will suffer. It chases away all of the bad bugs, so this is your little beneficial army. You have to figure out what you can grow in your area, and marigolds are one of the easiest things to grow. Drought tolerant, heat tolerant. It doesn't need any fertilizer. It will grow, and it goes to work for you. So I want you to think about that, you guys. Without flowers, there's no bees, and without bees, there's no garden. So keep that in mind. Grow some marigolds. I'm going to get this stuff in the house because the birds are having a fit. Anyway, you guys, I hope this helped you to decide if you're going to plant marigolds or not. I'll see you in the next video.